Good morning, brothers and sisters. Happy Sabbath day. Welcome to another episode of Did You Know, where I ask a question of a specific topic and I answer through the scriptures. So, did you know that in the beginning, God made two to be one? If you didn't know, I'm going to show you through the scriptures. Okay, so this part two, sisters and brothers, of this lesson, and this part here is going to deal with divorcement. Okay, so this part two, dealing with divorcement, and it's going to show forth that once again, that in the beginning, it wasn't so. God made two to be one, and he made them two to be one, period. And I'm going to show you this, that God's intent was for that man and that woman to be one until the end. And that's why they said, until death do we part. That's how long we're supposed to be till one. So the divorcement, we're going to show forth that even though it was put forth, it wasn't so from the beginning. And we're going to start this off in Matthew, the 19th chapter. Because I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. When God did this thing in the beginning, he set it up for the two to be one. And, I mean, this is a serious thing to God, that this man and this woman being one. I mean, it's huge, and he let it be known through the scriptures. So we're going to start this off in Matthew, the 19th chapter, verse 3. Matthew's 19, and I'm going to start reading at verse 3. Okay? It says, the Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? And he answered and said unto them, have ye not read that he which had made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Okay, so look at this. These Pharisees came, Jesus. The Pharisees was your so-called, I just say your religious leaders. They were the one that taught the law. And they came to him, is it lawful to put away your wife? What they say, for every cause. Now, they didn't just say for, if she go out and do something, for every cause. Jesus told them, have ye not read that which they made it, that which he made? Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female too, and said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. Now, mind you, the question they asked him, was it lawful to put them away? Jesus took them back to the beginning to let them know that he made two to be one, and it wasn't no putting that away. Because that's the question they asked him, was it lawful to put away your wife for every cause? Jesus took her back to the beginning. Let's see what he said after that. Verse 6, he said, wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder. He let it be known right here. I can end this lesson right here. Jesus just settled the whole thing about divorcement. Okay? Two being one. He said it wasn't so from the beginning. I made two to be one. And, he said, for this cause shall a man put away shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife. He said, wherefore they are no more two but one. Wherefore what God hath put together, let no man put asunder. What did he put together? Two to be one. You can't break that. So look what these brothers going to say. So verse 7, check this out. Look what they're going to say after this. Verse 7. They say unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? And good question, because it's written in the law, that a man could put away his wife for, and what reason for that? But look what Jesus is going to say to him. Look what Jesus is going to say. Verse 8. He saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. Moses did that because of the hardness of y'all heart, but he took them right back to the beginning. But from the beginning, it wasn't so. It was no putting away your wife. Hey, he made Adam and Eve. Eve did the biggest thing a woman could do. She talked to the devil after he told her not to, and then he listened to her, destroyed the creation. Why Adam just say, hey, I don't want her, God, this woman ain't right. You see what she did, God? No, that was his wife, and that was going to be his wife to the end. Two become one, he said from the beginning, it was not so. But for the hardest of your hearts, did Moses suffer them to do that. But look what it is if you do that. Verse 9, He said, and I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her which is put away, doth commit adultery. That's bottom line. This Jesus talking. This Jesus talking about the divorcement. That was the question that they asked him, tempting him with it. Is it not written in the law that you could put away your wife for every cause? Jesus said from the beginning, it wasn't so. And if you put that woman away, or sister, if she put that brother away, divorce them, he said, you except it be for fornication, you commit adultery, which means and let's just look at it like this, sisters and brothers, if you in a really bad situation in a marriage, that brother may be physically and verbally abusive. That woman may be the same way. Y'all in a terrible marriage. And you decide to divorce for that purpose and move on. You find a woman that's the best thing in the world to you, and she found her Prince Charming and live happily ever after. You still committed adultery from what Jesus just said. He said, because whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whosoever marry her, when she married, she commit adultery. This bottom line, that's why he said it wasn't so from the beginning. This is not what I wanted for man. I wanted them to be one. Let's go check out this divorcement, because they say, can you put away for every cause? Let's go to Deuteronomy 24th chapter. We're going to check out the divorcement and see why I said. But we got to remember, like Jesus said, it was put there. Moses, he allowed Moses to put there because of the hardness of man's heart. And when I say man, I mean male and female. For the hardness of their heart, Moses had to put forth this divorcement. Because back in these days, these brothers was messing over these sisters. And to this point today, hey, everybody messing over everybody. But if you decide to go that route, like Jesus said, if you marry another, you commit adultery. And if she marries, she commit adultery. That's bottom line. Let's look at this divorcement. We're going to look at Deuteronomy 24th chapter, and I'm going to start reading at verse 1. Deuteronomy 24:1. It says, when a man hath taken a wife and married her, and it comes to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. Now, this is the bill of divorcement. But we know and understand, because what Jesus said, that if she go be another man's wife, she committing adultery. And when he marry another wife, he committing adultery. But this is the bill of divorcement. Okay, and look what it says, because this is, like I said, these brothers messing over these sisters. It says, if the man hath taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, for what? No favor for what? I mean, what, he just wake up one morning and say, hey man, you ain't as good looking as I thought you was. I don't want you no more. I'm giving you a bill of divorcement. They said for every cause. Can we put away for every cause? So look at this thing. So he said, if she don't find no favor in his eyes, because he have found some uncleanness in her, give her a bill of divorcement, and she is to depart from his house. She could be somebody else's wife. Now, look what else is in this. Verse 3. It says, and if the latter husband hate her, and write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and sendeth her out of his house, or if the latter husband died, which took her to be his wife. Now, what it's saying is, if she get the divorcement and marry somebody else, and he decide he hate her. Now, look at what it says. It said, if he hate her and give her a bill of the divorcement, or if he die. Look what this say. Verse 4, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that she is defiled, for that is abomination before the Lord. And thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. This is how serious this thing is. When a man and a woman two become one, and y'all break that asunder. He said that this man can't have her no more if she have another man. He said that she defiled now. She defiled. He can't have her no more. Said even to the point that it's an abomination to the Lord. Because, and I'm going to just put it the way this, and I'm going to show you how I'm put it this way. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter. Because the man is the seed and the woman is the earth, the soil. And when that man and that woman come together and become one, two become one, he's planting his seed in his land. This is his now. This is his earth. This is his. And if somebody else come along and to plant another seed in his land, it's defiled now. And that's the best way I can put it, because that's the way the Lord put it. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter. This is how serious this thing is to the Lord about divorcing and that two being one and staying one. Look at this, Jeremiah 3rd chapter. I'm going to read one verse. It says, they say, if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return to her again? Now they asking a question. He said, they say if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's wife, shall he return to her again? Well, from what we read from the law, he can't. Look what it says. It says, shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith the Lord. Now, this is the Lord talking to Israel, and Israel is his wife, and he telling her how Israel to played the harlot with dealing with other gods. But look what he compared it to. The divorcing of a man and his wife, and her going to somebody else and him taking her again. It said, isn't that land greatly polluted? That's why I use the analogy of, this your land, man. And once you plant your seed in your land and somebody else come along and plant a seed in it, it's defiled now. They said it's greatly polluted. This is how serious this is to God, because that's not what he wanted from man. He said, hey, man, from the beginning, I made two to be one. Bottom line. So if somebody else come along and take your land, it's defiled now. Now he don't want no, because that's usually how it is, brother. You know how it is. Once somebody else got your woman, now you want her back. She ain't as bad as she was before you did, when you didn't have her because somebody else wanted her. Hey, man, the Lord said you can't have that back because now it's defiled. And it was so serious to God. Let's go to Leviticus, the 21st chapter, because he even told his priests, when he set up the Aaron and his sons, they couldn't even have a wife if she was put away or divorced from a man. This is how serious this is to God. Let's go to Leviticus, the 21st chapter. Because in the beginning, it wasn't so. He made two to be one, and that's what he wanted, them two to stay one. Just like when he married his wife, which was Israel. She wasn't supposed to be nobody but his. And like he said, she played the harlot on him. But he said he gonna take his wife back. But he told you, man, no, you can't do that. Okay? Leviticus, the 21st chapter. And I'm going to start reading from verse 1. Because this is the priest. Look at this. It says that the Lord said unto Moses, speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say unto them, there shall none be defiled from the dead among his people. So he let them know, first of all, about defiling yourself among the dead or going to funerals. Look at what else he said. Let's get down to verse 7. He said, they shall not take a wife that is a whore or profane, neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy unto his God. Look what God telling the priest. He said, y'all can't take a wife that is a whore or profane, a thought as they call them. If that's what they say, that's what the kids say nowadays, but you can't take her. That's what a whore is, a harlot on the street, And profane, like I said, she just probably down for anything. He said, you can't take no wife like that, or put a woman put away from her husband. This the priest. Let's look at what he said for the high priest. Skip down to verse 10. And he that is the high priest among his brethren, upon whose head the anointed oil was poured, and that is consecrated to put on the garments, shall not uncover his head, nor rent his clothes. Now, this is the high priest, okay? Skip down to verse 13. And he shall take a wife in her virginity, a widow, or a divorced woman, or profane, or an harlot, these shall he not take. But he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. So this is the high priest. Not only could he not take a woman that was profane or a harlot or divorced or even a widow, but she had to be a virgin. This is how serious this thing was to God, that because he said, you my priests, you standing in the gap for me. kind of like the intercessor between us and God. Because they dealt with the sacrifices and the holy things like that. He said, man, y'all holy unto me. But he told Israel in the 19th chapter of Exodus that the whole nation was a nation of priests unto him. So that's just a little something to think about. If we supposed to be a holy nation, a priest unto God, a nation of priests unto God, how we supposed to behave? The Lord made two to be one. And he did it in the beginning, and he expects for it to be done now today. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. Because, it's nothing in between. And this is what we have to understand, sisters and brothers. Either you married, when a man and a woman come together, either you're going to be married when you come together, man and woman, or you're going to be committing adultery, or you're going to be fornicating. It ain't nothing in between that. It ain't no way, yeah, that's my girlfriend, or it ain't nothing in between that. It's husband and wife, adulterers, or fornicators. That's it. 1 Corinthians 7th chapter, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Look at this. 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, and I'm going to start reading at verse 1. Look at this. It says, now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Now, you see what Paul just said? He said, nevertheless, to avoid what? Fornication. Let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Now, if it was just that if I lay with her and she became my wife, how could you have fornication? It's more to it than that. To be my wife, we have to have a legal covenant, then to lay together. That's what makes us legally bonded. That's what gives her your name. It has to be a legal covenant. So if you just lay with her and don't have a legal covenant, you're doing only one or two things, either committing adultery or fornicating. Because if you don't have a legal covenant with this woman, and she don't have a legal covenant with no one, y'all just fornicate. But if one of y'all got a legal covenant with somebody, then you're committing adultery. Or if both of y'all got a legal covenant with somebody, you commit adultery. That's it. It's marriage, adultery, or fornication. So that's why Paul said, nevertheless, to avoid fornicating, let every man have his own wife, that's one, and every woman have her own husband. Let's get down to verse 10. Because Paul says something else verse 8, that's verse 8. I say, therefore, to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. So he let it be known. He said, if you a widow or you unmarried, hey, it's best if you be as he. Because Paul didn't have a wife. He didn't have a wife. He said, it's best if you be as me. Because if you don't make that legal covenant with somebody, you just gonna be laying with somebody, you fornicating. You just fulfilling the needs of the lust of the flesh and the eyes. That's it. You fornicate if you don't have that legal covenant. So he said, hey, be like I am. But if you can't, what he said, but if you cannot contain what? Yourself from wanting to lay with somebody. Because he said fornicate, if you want to, you flee fornicate, don't fornicate. He said, so if you can't contain yourself, get married. And married is what? That legal covenant, and then land with them. He said you can't do that. He said so because it's better to marry than to burn. Because we gonna read that before we got this lesson. Adulterers and fornicators ain't gonna make it into the kingdom. And we gonna read that. Look what else he said, verse 10, because he was talking to the unmarried and the widows. Look what he said to the married. And unto the married I command, not yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband. And if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. You see what it's saying, sisters and brothers? It's saying the same thing, two becoming one. Look at this. Unto the married, he said, I command. He said, not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband, which means you can't leave him. Let not her depart. But if that sucker is a Nabal or you just can't take it no more and you decide to leave, he said, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or reconcile with her husband. Two being one. Yeah, you left, but you can't have nobody else. You're not supposed to have nobody else. You're not supposed to be with nobody else. You're supposed to reconcile it with your husband. And it says, and husbands, put not away your wives, which means you can't divorce him. You can't even, he didn't even get a husband an option. At least he told the woman she could leave, you know. But that's the thing. If you gotta separate, hey, separate. But separate with the in mind that I can't have nobody else. I need to reconcile with my wife. Because if she decide to have somebody else or he decide to have somebody else, and y'all can do it legally, get the legal written divorcement, you still committing adultery. Because Jesus said, he said, whosoever put away his wife, except it be for fornication. You committing adultery. And just think, if you'd have been through 4, 5, 6, 7 different wives and husbands, you are considered an adulterer, you know? Or if you decide to, I'm going to just play the field for now because I don't want to get married no more. So you just going to sleep with them, you know? You ain't going to make no commitments. You fornicating. But I'm going to shack up with this because I really like this one. But you ain't going to get that legal covenant. You fornicating. This script. So we have to really understand and realize God intended for the two to be one and to stay that way. Because if you don't, you fornicate or adultery, and you ain't doing up for fulfilling the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes. Let me give you a real good example. Now, let's go to 2 Samuel. I'm going to give you a real good example of a brother that, just wicked, man. And when you see what he did, we going to understand 2 Samuel, the 13th chapter. Because we're going to look at David and his sons. And I'm going to show you what this boy did. And show you it wasn't nothing but about fulfilling the lust of the flesh. Nothing but about that. 2 Samuel, the 13th chapter. I'm going to start reading at verse 1. 2 Samuel 13 and 1. It says, and it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar. And Amnon, the son of David, loved her. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. Now, these David's kids. Absalom and Tamar were sister and brother, same mother, but Amnon was from a different mother. But they had the same father, which was David. So Amnon saw Tamar, and like it says, she was a fair sister, which means she was beautiful, she was fine, and he loved her. Now, what was he loving her so much? What that she had said or did to him that made him love her so? Because it said he couldn't say nothing to her. It was hard for him to say anything or do anything unto her, which means he couldn't talk to her because he was too nervous to even say something to her. So what made him love her so? He was loving what he was seeing because it said she was fair. Let's see what happened. Let's skip to verse 6. Skip down to verse 6 because Ammon, his friend, him came up with this scheme to play like he's sick and tell David to send Tamar over there to make him some cakes. Check this out, verse 6. And Amnon lay down and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said unto the king, I pray thee, let Tamar my sister come and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. So David was like, okay, cool, that's fine. He told Tamar to go do that for her brother, and she did that. And when she was done, he told her to bring him up to his chambers and feed them to him. Let's skip down to verse 10, and let's see what happened. And Amnon said unto Tamar, bring the meat into the chamber, that I may eat them of thine hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her and said unto her, come, lie with me, my sister. Now, where's the love at? Where is love, this great love that he had for her? If he had this great love for her, he'd have been taking her, let's get married. Let's get this legal covenant because I love you and I want you to be my wife. No, that wasn't what that brother was thinking about. He said, look at this. It said he took hold of her. Remember that, first of all. He took hold of her, okay? And said unto her, come lie with me, my sister. Verse 12. And she answered him, nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly. And I, whither shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. Now listen to what she said to him. Don't do this thing, man. This thing is wicked and foul. Don't do this. You know, all you got to do is talk to the king. He won't withhold me from you. Do this thing right. Make me your wife. He'll betroth you on me unto you, you know. And we come together, lay together, and hey, I'm yours. Look what this brother said. Verse 14, I'm sorry. Howbeit he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. He raped her. You know, he took what he wanted. But this love he had for her. This love that he said he was sick, he was so loved her so. He wasn't loving with a physical, affection of love like that. He was lusting. You know, he saw this beautiful, fine woman. You know, first thing he thinking is, you know, and we see what he was thinking. All he wanted to do was fornicate. Because that's what he doing. That's what he did when he forced himself up on her. Because I'm going to show you that's what it did. Because if he had went according to the law, he would have went to David, gave David however many shekels he was supposed to give him because he lay with this woman that was a virgin, but she wasn't betrothed to nobody. Gave David them shekels and she would have been his wife. He could have never put her away again. And I'm going to show you that in the scripts. Look what he did. Because after he done raped her, look what he did. Verse 15. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly. Wait a minute. I thought he loved her. After he done got what he wanted, now he hate her. And it said he hate her exceedingly. Come on now, man. You just was sick for loving this woman. But it was all about the lust of the flesh. Anytime you want to multiply in women or women multiplying in men, it's the lust of the flesh. It's the lust of the flesh. He hated her. Listen to this. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said to her, arise and be gone. Look how this brother did her. Now, you can't tell me, and I'm sorry, because I'm a man, and I'm a man that was of the world. You can't tell me you won't know no brother that has said and did that. Then got what he didn't want, and you can go now. You be gone. Because it was all about the flesh. Look what else he said. Verse 16. And she said unto him, there is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. Then he called his servant that ministered unto him and said, put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her. Look at this. Tell me this don't sound like something you didn't seen or heard about now today. That just goes to show you that nothing new under the sun. This is an example for us. It's all about the flesh. Fornicating. Let's go to Deuteronomy 22nd chapter. Flip right over to Deuteronomy 22. And we're going to read verse 13. Deuteronomy 22 and 13. Look what it says. It says, if any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her. Now we know what that hate her is now, because we see when he hated her, when he started hating Tamar after he laid with her. And it just said right here, if a man take a wife and go in unto her, which means he didn't lay with her, now he hate her, which means he didn't got what he wanted, now he don't want her no more. Like I said, man, the Lord said because of the hardness of your hearts that I had to allow Moses to put that bill of divorcement in. But from the beginning, it wasn't so. This is what these brothers was doing. Look at this. It says, so if he hate her, he didn't go in unto her and hate her and give occasion of speech against her and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not to be a maid. Okay, so this brother, now he making up a story saying that he laid with her and she wasn't a virgin like she was supposed to be a maid. Verse 16, and the damsel's father shall come unto the elders. I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hath hated her. And lo, he hath given occasion of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the cities. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. So this is a brother trying to get rid of this woman after he done laid with her. Now he hate her. So he gonna bring up a false report against her, saying that she wasn't a virgin. She wasn't a virgin, man. Somebody else been in this ground before I have, And they have the token of her virginity, which is when you, every virgin woman, when you break what they call it, the Heimlich or the hymen, that you bleed. And with that blood that come out, that'll be the token of their virginity. That's to show that they was virgins. But this is what they was doing. Let's skip down to verse 28. Skip down to verse 28, because this is the situation that happened with Tamar. It says, if a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found. Now, that's what he did. She was a damsel that wasn't betrothed to nobody. She was a virgin, and he laid hold on her. Okay, and they was found. Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. And that's what David's son should have did if he, like he said, loved her. All he wanted was the sex. And he did that thing and sent her on because he satisfied the lust of the flesh. Like the Lord said, for the hardest of your hearts is why I had Moses to do that. Let's go to St. John, the 8th chapter. Well, wait a minute. First of all, I'm going to go down this 22nd verse. I need to read this. If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die. Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman, so shalt thou put away evil from Israel. So this is adultery right here. A man that's found to be laying with a married woman to that's married, got a husband, she laying with somebody else, committing adultery. So you were supposed to take both of them and stone them. That's adultery. Okay. Let's go into St. John, the 8th chapter, because I want to show you an example of what these brothers did to this woman that they found committing adultery. And show you, just to show you, like the Lord said, because the hearts of y'all's heart, man, is why I had to Moses do that. Y'all the wicked ones that didn't want to do right. So I had to have him do that so y'all can stop messing over one another. But best believe and know that every time you divorce and have another, you either fornicate or commit an adultery. Every single time. Remember that. St. John, the 8th chapter, and I'm going to start reading at verse 3. St. John 8 and 3. It says, and the scribes and the Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. What sayest thou? Now look at what they done. We just read in the law what Moses said, that you were supposed to take the man and the woman. They just got the woman. Jesus playing around in the dirt and playing around in the sand and ignored them. And so they kept going. So they asked him again. Let's get down to verse 7. So when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, he that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. And that killed them. And Jesus said, look, he among you that's without sin, throw the first stone at her. And he went on back down and started playing in the dirt again. And when he looked up again, this is what he saw. Let's skip down to verse 10. It says, when Jesus had lifted up himself and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, Woman, where are those thine accusers? Hath no man condemned thee? She said, No man, Lord. And Jesus said unto her, Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. Now listen to what Jesus told her. He said, Where are your accusers at? Don't nobody condemn you? She said, No man, Lord. He said, Well, I don't condemn you, but go and sin no more. This right here was a little eye-opener for me, because like I said, this whole thing about two being one, it falls on everybody, even me, because I've had to divorce. I'm on my second wife. So I know, especially after putting this lesson together, that when I remarried, I committed adultery. But this gave me just a slither of hope to say, Dan, if you keep working hard, maybe the Lord will look past your sin. Because he told this woman, where are thy accusers? And she said, I don't have none, Lord. He said, well, neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. which means he know your situation. He know if you in that abusive situation that you had to get up out of it. He know you if you in that situation that, like these brothers was doing these women back there, forcing themselves upon them, and now you my wife. He know. But he said, I don't condemn you, but sin no more. Why? Because he said two to be one. And every time you break that off, you sinning against God, fornicating or committing adultery. God made two to be one. So this just a little something that was put together, like I said, to show forth that God had every intent from the beginning, and he said it over and over. Like I said, I could have ended this with my first script. From the beginning, it was never so. Putting her away was never so from the beginning. From it being more than just them two being one was never so from the beginning. He knew what he was doing. You don't need 3, 4, 5 wives to multiply and populate it. No, he made two to be one and told them, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. So, did you know that in the beginning God made two to be one? If you didn't, you do now. And I thank you for your time, sisters and brothers. And once again, I attend the Israel of God Bible Study, which is located at 520 West 138th Street in Riverdale, Illinois. The website is www.theisraelofgod.com. And as always, sisters and brothers, hit that share button. Thank you for your time.